children, today we are going to start with another important lesson, and today we are going to start with that particular writer in America who was the only woman, the first woman who got the Nobel Prize in Literature. Can you name her? So she was no other than Pearl S. Buck. Pearl S. Buck was born in the year 1892. In the year 1892, she was originally a Chinese girl, and then the father who was a missionary got shifted to America, and then became the citizen of America. And finally, after 1934, she again came back to China, and then began to serve the university in China. So, if we make the analysis of the major work, then we see that the good art that was published in the year 1931 was a hot cake in the market of America, not only America, in the world, and because of that she was awarded with the Nobel Prize for Literature. She also got the Pulitzer Prize for her literary work. Now, my dear children, this is a very fantastic, very beautiful lesson. And in the world, do you know what is the challenge in the world? The world is always at the challenge of facing the war. War is a constant challenge for the globe, for the world. So, one country will try to dominate on the other party will join either A or B, and in this way almost all the countries in the world will join the war, and then that will be regarded as the world war. Such is the war that happened in the year 1939 to 45. And the war was the Second World War, and it was during that time, it was at the backdrop of the Second World War. This story that we are going to start with is started. So, this story is, the name of the story is The Enemy, written by Pearl S. Buck. This is chapter number 4. So, other two chapters already deleted by CBSE this year. Therefore, we are starting with chapter number 4 here. So, at the backdrop, what is the music that rings constantly is the World War II. So, what is the actual event that actually led to this war, or led to the participation of USA in the Second World War? Initially, as you know, the USA was not a party to the World War II, but what happened? Japanese attack what? The Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor is the harbor in the Hawaii Islands, and the Japanese attacked for their own safeguard. They attacked it, and they named it as Operation A1 and Operation Jet or Operation Hawaii. Therefore, if we know the historical background, then our concept will not be hazy, it will be very, very clear. Therefore, it is very much imperative, very much needed that we understand the importance of the historical events that lead to the story. Therefore, so I will be telling you one by one the story, and we will go systematically. So, first we will see after the author, that is a Pearl Buck. What comes is the significance of the title. What does this title indicate? Does the title indicate about the central idea or the main idea of this lesson? My dear children, you see The title is The Enemy. What is the what opposite of enemy? Enemy means F-O-E. Synonym is foe. F-O-E, foe. The antonym is, the positive word for E is friend. Now the question arises, can a human being become an enemy of the other human being? Is it right? Is it just to become? Now the question is that yes, when the war actually threats the country, when the country is at war, many times there is justification that yes, human being can be the enemy of the other. But in this lesson we will see that man is a man. Man doesn't know any continent, any race, any language. Man is man. He is the son of only one man, Adam. Therefore, there is no discrimination, and therefore, this good feeling prevails in the mind of the hero or the protagonist. So, I will be introducing you. The hero or the protagonist of this lesson is Dr. Sadao Hockey. Sadao Hockey is a dedicated, very devoted doctor and surgeon. Not only doctor and surgeon, he was also a scientist, and his study was accomplished in the United States of America. Now, in this lesson, we will see before going to the content of the lesson, the summary part, we will be seeing the title once again. Therefore, as we are talking, so the opposite or antonym of enemy is friend. No human being is an enemy to other human being. All the people are same, wherever country or whichever country he lives in. Therefore, in this lesson also, this title of the lesson also is very much apt. Is also very much apt, means appropriate, because it gives the clue, it gives the hint to the theme that no man is an enemy to another man. Every man is a friend. There is a lot of similarity. There is no contempt for each other, and there should not be any contempt for each other. Therefore, this lesson indicates about the theme of human value, the theme of humanitarian value, the theme of humanism. Have you got it? Then let us see, we have already seen the background of the story, the World War II. Then come to the next, so what is the setting of the story? The setting of the story. Setting means the particular place and the time. The place was where? It was the coastal town of Japan, and just by the coast, just by the shore, S-H-O-R-E, shore of the sea, there was the house, beautiful bungalow of the doctor. The name of the doctor is Sadao Hockey. So he was living by the side. It was a very pleasant place, and so it is at that particular place where the story starts, and the time was 1941. Means it was the peak time. It was the peak time, and as you know, as I told you, so it was in December 7 in 1941 when the story starts. At the time, Japan attacked the US Pearl Harbor, and after that, December 8, 1941, USA joins there. Therefore, in the start of the story, we find a POW, P-O-W, means an US POW, means an US prisoner of war. So he was at the mercy of the wave. So he was floating, the water, the storm, and the waves also very merciless, and it was at the mercy of the waves and water. And when it was floating, then it was encountered, it was seen by the doctor, Dr. Hockey or Dr. Sadao Hockey, who was in the company of his good wife Hannah. Both of them were simply strolling, S-T-R-O-L-L-I-N-G, strolling by the side of the sea, and at the time, all of a sudden, they encountered the body. So they do not know who he was, what he was. Finally, they could see that there is a soldier. And after that, what happened? So how can you tell that he was an American soldier? So what is the mark? Yes, there will be some marks or the symptom by which you can recognize the American prisoner of war. So it may be the dress, it may be the cap. In the cap also there will be the sign of the Navy, US Navy, and therefore it was easily recognized by both Hannah and Dr. Sadao Hockey, because Hannah was also a good Japanese girl who was studying in the America, and she met Sadao Hockey there in America, who was also pursuing his doctorate degree, particularly the doctor. So his course of MBBS he was pursuing there, and at that time both of them met there, and therefore it was easy for both of them, Hannah and Sadao Hockey, in order to recognize whether he was a soldier of America or Japan. Finally, they recognized that yes, he was an US prisoner of war. Therefore, what will be the initial feeling? There will be conflict. There will be conflict in the mind of both of them. So now, Dr. Sadao Hockey, he was an individual human being. He was a doctor. So what is his prime duty? His prime duty is to save the life. He may be the enemy too. Therefore, he should not bother about who is who, and therefore his prime duty, the main duty, is to save the life, and therefore he did it. After initial hesitation, he overcome the hesitation, and then just what he did, as his professional ethics demanded, so he saved the life. He took him to the shore, and then he managed to take him to his own house, and then begin to operate. Initially, what we see, the servant, the cook, the gardener, all the servants were very much defiant. They disobeyed, even though they were very much dedicated to the master, that is Dr. Sadao Hockey. But in this particular critical situation, they did support to the nation, that is Japan, and therefore they felt that yes, it was against the country, it was against the state to help some enemy, and therefore what they did, they went away. They give up the job under Dr. Sadao Hockey. But you will see that as they were very much dedicated, as they were very much devoted to Dr. Sadao Hockey, when the prisoner of war was sent back, then all of them report to their duties. Therefore, they were true Japanese, they were true patriots, they were true patriots. So, we are talking about this background of the story, and it is time for us to introduce yourself to the character, the major character. There are 9 major characters here, 9 major characters. So, let us go one by one. So, first we see Dr. Sadao Hockey. So, he is a very reputed, he was a very reputed doctor. So, it was at the wartime, it was the time of emergency. All the doctors were deputed in the war, in the Second World War. But he was kept back by General Takima. Why he was kept back? Because he was reputed. He was a very expert as a surgeon. Therefore, the general was an ailing general, or he was suffering general. He may need any operation at any moment, and therefore he was kept back. He was not sent to the war. As a human being, he was a very good, human loving and caring husband. He was a very much dedicated surgeon, and more particularly, he was a great patriot. So, when we will make analysis, there may be confusion that he lacked in patriotism, but when you go deeper, then you will see that he did all his work. He deserves all the responsibilities as a good citizen of the country. So, what he did, as soon as they begin to treat the prisoner of war, when the condition of the prisoner of war become better, he gave the message to the general that a prisoner of war is treated by him and he is now well. Therefore, assassin may be sent to him for killing. But what exactly happened? So, the assassin did not come. It may be the carelessness, it may be the carelessness of the general, or it may be the forgiveness or the grace of God, Almighty God, that the assassin was not sent. Then you can just imagine what will happen to Sadao. The mental conflict into the mind of Dr. Sadao Hockey was rising and rising. So, finally, when he saw that he is well, that the prisoner of war is well, his condition is better, the assassin did not report, and he then rises above all this barrier of the country, the continent, race, prejudice and hatred against each other, against another country, and he became a true human being. He upholds the value of a human being, and as a good human being, what he does, he made good the escape of the prisoner of war, so that he can safely reach, and he assured his safety just by giving all the necessary tools like the torchlight, the food and all other item that is needed, the item like the boat for his rescue. So, in this way we find that Dr. Sadao Hockey was not only a good doctor and a scientist, he was also a good human being. He knew the value of a human man. He knew the value of human, and therefore he rises above all the hatred, the war, all the barrier, and therefore he helped the prisoner of war, and he made good his escape from his house. The second one is Sahana. So, Hana, as we come to know earlier, so Hana is a good Japanese girl. So, both of them, Dr. Sadao and Hana met there in America. They begin to like each other, and finally, with the consent of the father, with the consent of his good father, both of them got married. She was a very responsible woman, very supportive, and a balanced woman, So, when we see, when they encounter with the confusion, the puzzle, the dilemma at that time, just like a responsible woman, she helped. She gave the helping hand to her husband, and helped in operating the prisoner of war too. Therefore, from this we can understand that she was a good human being and a very supportive wife and a balanced woman. The next one is the prisoner of war. His name was Tom. Prisoner of war was Tom. He was a soldier of US Navy, and when the story starts, we see that he was at the mercy of the wave and water, and was floating in the water of the sea. His full body could not be seen. Sometimes his body is seen, sometimes it is sinking. So, this is the condition when it is seen just by the protagonist, Dr. Sadao and Hana. Next character is the father of the doctor. So, the father was a great patriot. What the father did? So, he was a very serious person, and his only one concern was to educate his son. And he took his son to the beach of the sea, and then he was telling, you see the yonder island, the island that you can see at a distance, that is the future of Japan. And there is no limit to the future. That means we can go to any height just by using or exploiting that island. Therefore, this also shows that he was a great patriot. He was a good Japanese. He was a good and responsible father. Next, we come to Yami. Yami was the maid servant of Hana. She was also a good patriot, and she gave up the service with Hana or Dr. Sadao as soon as the prisoner of war reported. Then there were the other servants like the cook, the gardener. All these servants, they departed from the house of Sadao, thinking that it will endanger their life to help the prisoner of war, and therefore they gave up the job with Dr. Sadao. But as we come to know earlier, so all this servant reported back as soon as the prisoner of war was sent back to his country. Now, in this lesson you will see there are many threads of themes. One is the choice that we need to make. So, you will see that in life a lot of choices are to be made in life. You have seen in class 11 a chapter named Birth by A.G. Cronin. So, there you will see that the doctor was under constant confusion. So he had to make the choice. Finally, when the baby was born, the baby was a stillborn baby. It was flaccid. And finally, he had to make the choice between the baby and the mother. Why? Because the condition of the mother of the child also was very feeble or weak, and needed the instant help of the doctor. Therefore, intuitively, spontaneously, he went to the mother and treated. Finally, went to the child, and the stillborn baby was brought back to life just by his own mechanism. So here also you will see that he was the protagonist Sadao Hockey. He was also encountered with the choice he need to make, whether he will just give up. So when you find the prisoner of war, Mr. Tom, in the sea water, so after seeing him, he began to hate. But what happened? This initial conflict was overcome by him, and then as a doctor, what he did, he began to treat him. And after that, as he was a great patriot, therefore he reported to the state. And after that, what happened? When nobody came, then he became the true human being. He became the true and good human being, and then he wanted that he will help him to escape from this particular territory, so that he can go back, report to his own country. Therefore, this choice, as it is very common in human life, this choice is presented here in this lesson. The choice between nationalism and humanism, the choice between professionalism, the professional ethics, and national loyalty. The second theme that we notice is that this is a lesson of peace, love, sympathy, and fellow feeling and humanism. This lesson advocates the love and sympathy, love and humanism, which knows no country, no barrier, no race, no caste, no creed. This is the message, this is the universal or the global message that the writer Par S. Berg gives through this lesson. Next thread of the theme is the conflict of the mind of man. So the mind of the man, mind of the human being is a tussle ground, is a ground of the conflict. And in this lesson, the enemy presents beautifully the inner conflict or the agony of the man. So how he was suffering from this conflict, whether to help or not, whether to obey his professional ethics, or whether to obey the greater ethics of humanism. So after all this initial struggle, finally it is the humanism that comes out victorious. Therefore, this lesson also gives beautiful presentation of the conflict in the mind of the human beings. Now, my dear children, this lesson has three parts. It is divided into three parts. One is, first we see the appearance of the prisoner of war. So it was the evening time, and both of the doctor and his wife, Dr. Sadao Hockey and his wife Sahana, they were strolling by the side of the sea, and all of a sudden they encounter a person. Then when they saw it well, when they were peeping through the body, then they could understand that this was the prisoner of war who was wounded by the bullet. Initially, they did not want to do help, but finally, because of the demand of the professional ethics, so he has taken to his own room, and then finally he was operated upon. The condition became better, but he faced lot of revolt from the servant and the initial defiance of the wife too. But after that, what happened? Everything almost become normal when the prisoner of war was sent back to his country through the sea. Then the second part actually deals with the tussle between Hannah and Shadow. The tussle or the conflict between the wife and the husband. So, wife was very much hesitant to help the prisoner of war. The doctor was compelled because it was his professional ethics that demanded to help. But finally, this tussle was over, and then both of them cooperated, and operation was successfully done, and the condition of the prisoner of war bettered. So, the final threat of the theme is the escape. So, as you know, when no assassin came, his mental agony or the mental conflict, mental tension went to the peak, and he thought, and finally he thought out a good plan. The plan was that he will be helping him. He will be helping the prisoner what to do to go out of the country through this sea. He will be helping him with the boat, with the food item, with the torchlight, and any other tools that are needed in order to make the escape successful. Finally, we see that Tom was also not willing. He was reluctant to go away from the house of the doctor because he got a good treatment and his condition became better. And finally, after persuasion by the doctor, he was willing, and then at one night they started the journey, and the doctor helped physically with everything he needed in order to escape from the clutch, from the hand of the Japanese people. Therefore, my dear children, this lesson, the enemy, is a very good lesson, very beautiful lesson of peace, sympathy, love, fellow feeling, humanism, and this actually gives the message that all the human beings are the same, they originated from the same, they are sharing the same art, and there should not be any barrier in the form of language, barrier in the form of the caste, creed, color, or any other consideration. All human beings are human beings wherever they live. This is the message the writer wants to give. I will meet you in the next part of the video, because this lesson is a little lengthy, and in the next part of the video we will make a discussion about the chapter. We will go through the chapter and discuss the important points, and particularly the vocabulary words which are very important in respect of this lesson, the enemy by Paul S. Bach. Till then, bye bye, have a good day.